Hello all. Here I Komal Sharma welcomes you all on behalf of Gargi classes. So today I am going to discuss the another poem by John Donne which is To His Mistress Going to Bed. Till now I have discussed three of John Donne's poems which are The Canonization, Dead Be Not Proud and The Good Morrow. Among these three, alike the canonization and the good morrow, To His Mistress Going to Bed is also a metaphysical poem, which is one among the best metaphysical poem of John Donne. And this particular poem is written in the form of dramatic monologue, where a speaker or a lover address all these words to his beloved, who stands in front of him and who listens the conversation whatever he speaks throughout the poem, and this is written in the form of or in the genre of elegy too. So today I am going to just detail about the meaning of the particular text only. I am going to define the line by line meaning of this particular text. Alright then, so first of all I would like to recite this poem completely so that you would come to know the basic terms of this particular poem. And later on I'll be define or I'll be meaning out each line of this particular poem. Alright then, so here I'm leading. Come, madam, come, all rest my powers defy, until I labor, I in labor lie. The foe of time, having the foe in sight, is tired with standing though he never fight. Off with that griddle, like heaven's Joan glycerin, but a far fairer world encompassing. Unpin that spangled breastplate which you wear, that the eyes of busy fools may be stopped there. Unless yourself for that harmonious chime tells me from you that now it is bedtime. Off with that happy busk which I envy, that still can be and still can stand so nigh. Your gown going off such beauteous state reveals, as when from flowery maids the heel's shadow steals. Off with that wiry coronet and shoe, the hairy diadem which on you doth grow. Now off with those shoes, and then safely tread in this love's hallowed temple, this soft bed. In such white robes heaven's angels used to be, received by man thou angel brings with thee. A heaven like Muhammad's, I'm so sorry, Muhammad's paradise, and though ill spirits walk in white, we easily know by this these angels from an evil sprite. Those set our hairs, but these are flash upright. License my rowing hands and let them go before, behind, between, above, below. O my America, my Newfoundland, my kingdom, safeliest when with one man, my mine of precious stones, my empire. How blessed am I in this discovering thee. To enter in these bonds is to be free. Then where my hand is set, my seal shall be. Full nakedness, all joys are due to thee, as souls unbodied, bodies unclothed must be. To taste whole joys, gems which you women use are like Atlanta's balls, cast in man's views, that when a fool's eyes lighted on a gem, his earthly soul may covet theirs, not them. Like pictures or like books gay covering made, for layman are all women thus arrayed. Themselves are mystic books which only we must see reveal. Here in the bracket the line is, whom their imputed grace will dignify. Thence is that I may know, as liberally as to a midwife shoe. Thyself cast all, yet this white linen hands. There is no penance due to innocence. To teach thee I am naked first, why then what needest thou have more covering than a man? So, this is all about the text of this particular poem, which is written by John Donne. By reciting this particular poem, how you would come to know what kind of conceits, what kind of metaphors, similes, and imageries he has been using into this particular poem. and what kind of allusions he has been using into this particular poem. So today I am going to define only the meaning of each line of this particular poem here. So here I am leading. So this poem is written, or this poem consists 48 lines. 48 lines, and the each two line make a pair. And there's the rhyme scheme alike: defy, lie, sight, fight, glistering, encompassing, where, there. So these are the rhyming scheme into this particular poem. So each line, each second line of the poem makes a pair here. All right then. So today I am going to just define the meaning of these lines only, and tomorrow I'll be discussing all about the particular analysis of the whole poem. All right then. So here I'm leading. So our first 2 points are alike. Come, madam, come, all rest my powers defy, until I in labor lie. So here the poet actually asks his lady that, come here, my lady. I can't fall asleep until I have intimated with you physically, as I am uncomfortable and I cannot sleep without you. Here, he expresses his urge to have a physical intimacy with the lady with the basic term labor, or with the term of the childbirth, as a woman suffers during the childbirth. In the same condition the speaker feels himself here, and he wants and he needs his beloved keenly, and he asks her to come to him and make an intimacy physically with him. All right then. So our next lines are: the foe of times having the foe in sight is tired with standing, though he never fight. So he compares the situation like a soldier who is waiting for a battle, and the battle never comes to an end. So here he says that often a soldier seeing his enemy gets tired just standing and waiting for the battle, even though the battle never comes to happen. All right. So like a soldier, he is waiting there for his beloved to come to him, and he gets tired here by being waiting for last many hours. Next he says, off with that griddle like heaven's John glistering, but a far fairer world encompassing. Later on, he says, off with that girdle, which means take off that belt which you are wearing, which is wrapping around your waist, which glimmers like the night sky. So, your belt is glimmers like a night sky or like heaven, though it wraps around a world far more beautiful than our own. All right, then. In next two lines, he says, unpin that spangled breastplate which you wear, that the eyes of busy fools may be stopped there. In these lines, he says, just take off your bodice, embroidered with stars, which you wear to keep the masses from seeing your body. Undo the lashes. You hear your what? I'm sorry. Here he asks him to undo the laces, whatever she wears around her body. All right. And he asks her to unpin or unlace all those breastplates which she wears in order to keep the eyes away of the fools. All right. In the next lines, he says, unless yourself, for that harmonious chime tells me from you that now it is bedtime. In these lines, he says that undo the laces, whatever you wears. You hear your watch time. Can you hear the watch time or watch chime, the tickling of the watch, or the how the pins of the watch is moving towards by passing the time? And the chime of the watch telling us that it's time for our bed. It's the good time for both of us to be on the bed. Next, in the next two lines, what the poet urges his beloved to do is, off with that happy busk, which I envy, that still can be and still can stand so nigh. Next he says, just take off your corset. Just take off your corset. Just take off your happy busk. I am jealous of it because it can be so close to you and yet remain still to you. In these lines, the poet is feeling jealous to the happy busk or to the corset which wraps around his body and which is so close to her and which remains still too close to her. All right. Now, in the next two lines, the poet says, your gown going off, such beauteous states reveal. As when from flowery meads the hill's shadow steals. In these lines, he says that when your dress comes off, when your gown comes off, it reveals a beautiful body. It's like when the shadow of a cloud leaves a flowering meadow. In the next two lines, the poet asks her to beloved, off with that wiry coronet and shoe, the hairy diadem which on you doth grow. Here he asks her to just take off the wreath around your brows and show your beautiful crown of hair. He asks her to relax or to free her hairs. In the next lines, he says, now off with those shoes and then safely tread in this love's hollowed temple, this soft bed. Now the poet urges his beloved to take off your shoes and climb into the bed, which is like a temple to love. So he compares his bed with the temple, where he asks his beloved to be treading by taking off the shoes first of all. Next, the poet says or asks his beloved to do is, in such white robes heaven's angels used to be, received by man thou angel brings with thee, a heaven like Mahomet's paradise. Here the poet says that the angels wearing garment as white as our bed clothes used to meet with human beings, and you are an angel for me, and you bring me into the paradise full of beautiful women. So here the Muhammad's paradise is the paradise which is full of the women, where this angel, his beloved, bring him into such paradise which is all circulated with the beautiful women, and he feels like a paradise with her. Next he says, and though ill spirits walk in white, we easily know by these angels from an evil sprite. Those set our hairs, but these are flesh upright. Now he says, it's true. It's true that the ghost or the evil spirits also wear white dresses. But it's easy to tell the ghost or the evil spirits from angels. It's very easy to differentiate between the evil spirits or the good angels, because ghosts make our hair stand on end, but angels like you give us erections to be alive. All right then. Later he asked his beloved to license my roving hands and let them go before, behind, between, above, below. Now he says that just please allow my hands or provide the license to my hands to go wherever they want upon your body. In front, back, between, up, down, wherever my hands want to go, just let them roam freely upon your body. In the next lines, the poet asks his beloved, O my America, my Newfoundland, my kingdom, safeliest when with one man, my mine of precious stones, my empire, How blessed am I in this discovering thee. So, in these lines, the poet expresses here and he reveals to his beloved that you are like my America, a new foreign land. You are my America, a newly discovered country, and you are my country here. You are my country or kingdom here. You are my kingdom or country. And you are safest when one man rule you. And you are safest when one man rules you. Next he says that you are a mine of precious stones. The precious stones and the mine of gems, gold and silver. All these are stones. So you are my mine of precious stones and you are my empire. He says that I am blessed to have discovered you, my newly founded or my newly discovered country or kingdom. Next, the poet urges his beloved to come to him by expressing more his inner feelings. Next, he says that to enter in these bonds is to be free. Then, where my hand is set, my seal shall be. Here he says that to be born to you is to be free. So, wherever I put my hands on you, think of it like a seal that imprints my name on you. In the next lines, what the poet expresses in front of his beloved and what kind of attempts are being made by the lover to attract his beloved. Next, he says that full nakedness, all joys are due to thee, as souls unbodied, bodies unclothed must be. In these lines, he says that full nakedness, या फिर total nudity, the most joyous state to have intimation. The most joyous state of intimation is to be complete naked. Next he says, just like souls need to be without bodies in order to fully enjoy heaven. So, to taste all joys, gems which you women use are like Atlanta's ball. So, here the lines are parted here. Till now, the poet here says to his beloved that just like our souls always need to be without bodies in order to fully enjoy the heaven, so too our body should be without clothes or our body should be naked in order to fully enjoy the physical intimacy. Alright, next, what he tries to speak out, gems which you women use are like Atlanta's balls cast in man's views, that when a fool's eye lighteth on a gem, his earthly soul may covet theirs, not them. Here the poet says that the gems, the ornaments that you women wear are like the golden apples that Hippomenes threw in front of Atlanta to distract her. So you women always wears the gems or the ornaments which are all like those golden apples that Hippomenes threw in front of Atlanta to distract her. Alright. Next, the poet says that fools are distracted by them, of course, and want the gems, wants the ornaments that women wear, not their bodies. So here the poet says that whatever you people wear the ornament are alike all those golden apples which are thrown in front of Atlanta to distract her. By these ornaments, whatever you women wear, can attract or can distract the fool's eyes only, because these fools, they want only the gems, the ornaments which you wrap around your body, not the bodies of the women. So instead of wanting the body of the women, the fools always want the ornaments or the gems which wrap around the body of the women, bodies of the women. All right then. Next, the poet says, like pictures or like books, gay covering made. For layman are all women thus arrayed. He says that for the ordinary person, for an ordinary human being, all women dressed like that are like painting or the bright cover of the book. Themselves are mystic books which only we must see revealed. Here he says, but women are like religious books inside, though their covers are very bright and the covers are ornamented with the various gems, but from the very inside, the women are alike the religious books, which only the enlightened soul can see them naked. All right. So, the person who has enlightened soul has the right to see the women fully naked. All right. Because though outwardly the woman wraps around or the woman wears the ornaments, the bright ornaments, but from the very inside the woman is a kind of religious books, so that religious book can be seen fully by the enlightened soul only. All right. Next he says, then since that I may know as liberally as to a midwife show thyself. He says that so that I can read this religious book, I can see you fully naked. Let me see you as naked as you would be in front of a doctor or a midwife. Next he says that just cast all ye this white linen hands. There is no penance due to innocence. Here he says that just throw off your underclothes and sheets. There is nothing to be ashamed of because we are not making any kind of sin here. Whatever we are going to do is just innocence. In the last two couplets, what the poet ask his beloved to do, ask her to do, to teach thee, I am naked first. Why then what needed thou have more covering than a man? Here he said, you should follow my example. In order to teach you, I am already naked. I would like to first make myself naked. Why would you need to be more covered up than a man then? So, throughout this poem, you would see what kind of attempts are being made by the poet to unclothe his beloved or to come to with him to bed or to make with him a physical intimacy. So, throughout the poem, the dramatic situation is there where the male speaker or the lover tries to seduces his mistress to open her clothes so as to have physical intimacy easily. The poem is basically a seduction poem full of speaker's carnal desire. So, this is all about the meaning of the text lines which I just read and tried to make you people understand it carefully. In my upcoming video, whenever I'll be uploading the video or another, I'll be discussing all about the complete analysis of the poem. What kind of meter, what kind of rhyme scheme, what kind of allusions have been used by the poet John Donne into this particular poem. All right then. So still after reading or after clearing the each line's meaning here, if you have any kind of doubt, query or question in your mind, you can directly email us upon our email id, which is gargiclasses.edu@gmail.com. I will let you know the answer of your own queries by this Sunday, by the coming Sunday only, which we people have been doing on each Sunday of the month. A doubt clearing session is would be there. And do not forget to subscribe our channel. Do like the video if you think whatever information I have been giving here is all enough for your knowledge. And press the bell icon to get the notification of our each video. So thank you so much for watching our video.